to eternal peace. And so on this day, after I wrote all of that in my journal, I also wrote putting the pieces together, which is so funny because I've already, done all of this and, for you tonight, and I get here like, oh, I was already thinking about puzzle pieces, which I think is very interesting. So I wrote, what lessons were learned over year one? Here we go, God. Waiting. Monica, here it is. This is where I need you. You can't see it yet, but you're going to love it. You're going to be happy. God. Okay. All right. You can go to the next one. I also, because I was having all of these, just having to say goodbye to my family and not my family, families that I've worked with for 7 years, and shingles and everything, feeling like a failure. I actually made the ugliest picture I could, and then I wrote the word blessed, because I want to always remember the pit that I was in and where Jesus pulled me from, because it was here, and it was when I endured this that I really knew my Jesus. That was when that happened. So I have this little poster, and I have a prayer with it that I wrote on November the 30th, and it said, Father God, teach me to live with whatever, fill in the blank, no matter how long it endures. Give me complete awareness that you hold and shelter me, and allow me to continue living with those afflictions without suffering any harm. January 27, 2018. But there's a lot of dates in the middle, but I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff, so I'm going to the really good ones. All right, so I'm waiting, closing my eyes. I see a mountain, climbing footholds. God's pulling me. He's smiling. He's watching me. He sees me. He sees the next little stop, place on the mountain for me to grip, and he yearns for me to grab onto that one that he designed for me. He's pleased when I grab the right one. And when I anticipate the next one that that maybe he's made for me, and I do it in haste, and it's not the right one, he's below me, not letting me fall, even though I chose in haste. We still make progress and continue on. We rise up. Okay. So that was my waiting time. And as I am, about to move on to my confessions, my next part, my phone accidentally plays the song my daughter had been listening to this song, and she loved it, and she sang it. But this wasn't time in my prayer wheel for music, but it accidentally plays because I keep my timer on there. And it was Andra Day's Rise Up. And it accidentally plays on my phone. It's not my worship library, but obviously it's appropriate considering I just imagined myself rising up with Jesus. And she says in her song, we are going to walk it out and move mountains, and I'll rise up, and I'll rise up the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again for you. So that made me think, that's just Jesus talking to me some more. I go to my streams in the desert, the next one, same day. But there is another law of spiritual and physical life in Christ Jesus to which we can rise, and through which we can counterbalance and overcome the natural law that weighs us down. More puzzle pieces, God. It just boggles my mind. I go to February 19th, 2018. I wrote this in my journal. Just got reading this journal that stands about a month's time. Really cool to see the progression of your words that pushed me to unlock the door with my faith. Faith was the key all along. Waiting, hoping, looking. That's not blind faith. You gotta be bold, make a move. And then I put update. Yesterday you did everything. Every puzzle piece has led me to the not this choice. So things are starting to happen here. And again, thought it was perfect that I named this whole thing Puzzle Pieces. Okay, let's see. All right, now go to the next one. I'm not expecting you guys to read this, but I just want to show you kind of the amazing timing God has since October of 2016. So Brian and I had both completed our Emmaus walks. Mine was in 2016, his was 2017. I was going through Lent during, we all went through Lent actually, spring. And, but instead of like giving something up, I just tried to pray every moment that I could. Also, you guys just saw confirmands. Ella was in confirmation this spring. Also, I've had time to do stuff I've never done before, like actually attend a practice or, like watch music lessons. And I was able to help the mom out and give her children a ride home for a couple of weeks. And there was a little girl named Hannah, and she was having a middle of the week garage sale at the end of her sidewalk. I think she's in 2nd grade. And she had like a little flimsy little sign that said sale. And the items were miscellaneous, and they were on a TV tray. And they were like, it was like a little teddy bear and some nail polish and just a few random things around the house. And that really, and I felt so bad I didn't have any money. And I asked her if she'd sold anything, and she hadn't. But someone did give her $5, she said. So, it made me and Ella and Avery, it made us sad, but it also made us really think about it. Because Hannah was being bold and courageous, and she was finding things to sell, and she didn't have much, but she did it. And I told my girls, I said, they do chores. I know they do. And they don't get money for it. And money is tight for them. And I said, you know what? These are the people that need the extra stuff to sell to make money in a garage sale. And they're not the ones that have the extra stuff. It really made us think about that. And it made me think about all of the need that we have here in this community. How we have families that are just trying to survive. They're getting all the resources that they can, and they're still just barely making it. So it made me think, God, is there something more to this? Because I couldn't get the picture out of my mind, the sweet little Hannah holding up her little flimsy sign at 5 o'clock after school, like on a Thursday or something. So I thought, and God's got something there. Something's going on here. And what's interesting is that in 4th and 5th grade Sunday school, the curriculum this year is the Old Testament. So, I've loved it because I've been learning so much from our Sunday school curriculum. Because remember, I didn't go to church growing up, so I didn't learn all those sweet little Bible stories. So I've been reading a lot about, Hannah and the Bible, and so all of that kind of was right before I saw Hannah and her little sign. And it made me think about how much faith she had, and she wasn't going to give up so that she could have her child. And so all of that had been on my mind. So I'm going to get to the point here. Let's see. Is this it? Okay. So before Sunday school, I like to read a few chapters before of what the lesson's going to be. That's a good idea, probably, to kind of know the context. And so it was before Sunday school. My husband and I were lying in bed. It was in the morning, and I wanted to listen to the story in the Bible before reading it. So we were doing Samuel 16, but I wanted to go all the way back. So I went back up to Samuel 8. And so I'm actually not listening to it, I'm reading it on my phone. And I get to Samuel 12. And the font's awful, I'm sorry. It says, 1 Samuel 12, verse 14. Now if you fear and worship the Lord and listen to his voice, and if you do not rebel against the Lord's commands, then both of you and your king will show that you recognize the Lord as your God. Verse 15. But if you rebel against the Lord's commands and refuse to listen to him, then his hand will be heavy upon you as it was upon your ancestors. and then 16. Now stand here and see the great thing the Lord is about to do. Okay, that was for chapter 12. I'm on verse 16. I haven't even gotten to Samuel 16, which is where the Sunday school lesson was going to be. And this feeling of being called just washed over me. I felt weighted down on the bed. I felt it from head to toe. And in my mind, I just laughed. It was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I have to tell my husband. So I right away, because I knew there was no delay in this. And so I rolled over and was like, Brian, babe, I'm going to tell you something. And I know he's always scared, when he hears that, because I've had some wild ideas. We visited a church in Bernie before he joined this one, and they were doing an African presentation, and I really wanted an African baby. And he was like, let's just go to lunch and talk about it later. So I said, Brian, guess what? I know what I'm supposed to do. I am actually not going to get a job like I told you I was. And I'm going to actually take on debt, not make money, and I'm going to go to seminary. And he might have just freaked out a little bit. I went ahead and I told the girls, because I was so excited. And I came to church, I told 2 friends. And because it was Youth Sunday, Pastor David wasn't going to preach. And I was a little disappointed at first. So I'm really sorry to anybody that has the youth. It's nothing against them. I was just so excited because I had just been called to ministry and I wanted to hear David. And then there was the youth. But it actually was awesome because that's what God needed me to hear. If you remember, if you were here and you heard them in this room, they spoke to me and they gave me God's words. They used words like, our gifts, use them. We are called, summoned to ministry, making a difference in the community with others. And I just couldn't believe it. I just shook my head. The friend that I told before, she knew. She understood. She hugged me. Afterwards, I told Dan and Donna. I told Matt Ratliff. I even told Brian's parents. And I got a lot of awkward smiles and nods, I'm sure. And I'm sure they thought I was crazy, but really, I am crazy, but this was not something I was crazy about. This was real. So I came home, I talked to Brian, and we had a very intimate moment. We cried. I encouraged him. We prayed. It really was beautiful. Jesus was with us, and Brian said, I figured you would go into ministry someday. And that made me laugh, because I was like, really? Because I never would have expected that in a million years. It's the first time he's told me. I've known him since 1997, and never said that to me. So I wrote, let's see. This is all still my words that I wrote in my journal on February the 19th. So, I'm just letting God know what happened. You told me to be bold, to make my move, to stop waiting, hoping, looking, have faith, blind faith. Here I go. Can't wait to see how this will all unfold. And then on February the 21st, my waiting time was the empty cross. Jesus was showing me all the people that could be ministered here, too, in Kerrville. Person to person, everywhere. And how he's with everyone. And the verse for that day was Hebrews 10:35-36. Don't throw away your patient confidence. It brings a great reward. You need to endure so that you can receive the promises after you do God's will. So everything was just really coming together for me. If you want to go to the next